Objective Management Group is an organisation that is more than 32 years deep into specific research on what makes the best salespeople and the sales leaders. They have evaluated over 2.3 million salespeople. I'm Davey I live in New Zealand, part of the SalesStar group. I have been with SalesStar for 11 years and using the Objective Management Group tool for all of that time.
Yeah, I'm Dave Mullins, a coach, a high-performing sales coach with SalesStar here in the United States. I'm based in Ohio. We have clients all around the country, and I use the objective management tools with all of our clients without fail. It's a vital part of what we're doing to aim for their success.
So Dave, you've been using the Objective Management Group tools with your clients. From your perspective, what do you think are the key reasons to do so?
When we first engage with clients, we spend a lot of time during that discovery phase really seeking to understand what their challenges are and what their goals are and what that delta is between where they are and where they want to be. And sometimes we don't know exactly. We've been doing this a long time and we can get a pretty good idea of how we can help. But we don't really know the details until we can dig into the assessment. And I think that's the value of the Objective Management Group tool, is it allows us real data, the science behind sales success, right? It allows us the real data to understand and diagnose where we need to dig in and get to work. It truly creates a training needs assessment. A training needs analysis so that we know where to go with our clients.
Why would a client want to use Objective Management Group from their perspective?
Yeah, that's a really great question. Thinking about how to take their sales team to the next level. There's a couple of things when you look at that. Where have we had success, and can we repeat that? And where have we not met our goals, and do we know why? The benefit of this assessment allows us to pinpoint the answer to both of those questions. We can find the salespeople that are hitting their numbers and blowing them out, and we can look for the key attributes that are present with that person that we can work to replicate and build into the rest of the team. Or if we're not hitting our numbers, instead of guessing, well, they're probably doing this, or my gut says that, or one person does this, the assessment tool gives us actionable data to know why we're not hitting our numbers. Is it action? Is it activity? Is it competency? Is it mindset? The assessment's going to give us that data.
Yeah, I agree. And what I found over 11 years of working with it is how incredibly insightful the data is. So data's data, but it gives us insightful information that we can use to predict behavior and predict performance. And that's invaluable. And how it does that is that it goes beyond just looking at skill. And I use this little analogy, which I'm going to share my screen. Objective Management Group focuses on three main areas. We have the will to sell, the sales DNA, and then the tactical competencies. So in total, there's 21 core competencies. The will to sell, I liken to where does the heart lie? Where is the fire in the belly? Can we measure that? And Objective Management Group has been able to do so. And it's incredibly accurate as well. So it looks very deeply into understanding how committed is this person to being successful? Is it important to them? Are they willing to do the activity that's necessary to be successful? Will they take ownership? And when they look at the world, are they looking at the world through a positive lens? Are they looking for solutions? Or are they kind of held back because their outlook is poor? That's the engine. So, that fire in the belly, the person that is just going to push through. We're looking for all cylinders to be firing. But sales DNA actually looks quite deeply into our psychological self-limiting beliefs. And we think of them as a handbrake, because a handbrake can be released as long as we understand what function it has and how you can unlock your own mindset. Then the sales DNA is actually deeply meaningful in unlocking latent talent. But the tactical competencies, that's the road. The road could be smooth, it could be easy, it could be rocky, full of potholes. But it's a combination of looking at the sales process from beginning to end, from hunting for new opportunity right through to account management. And we can look specifically at how well they've been able to develop skills or have transferable skills in those areas. So in a broad depth across country, across role, in order to be able to show us these three pieces, the will to sell, the sales DNA, and the sales competencies, they go together in order to predict future performance and to give us clarity about where we can coach.
So the data we find with the objective management group, like Kat just said, it goes across all these different industry types, because what it's measuring is the science behind the sales success, and the science, the process and the will to sell and the mindset that transcends any particular industry. And that's the value of having this kind of data, whether you're hiring or trying to develop and grow your existing sales team across any industry.
Does that analogy roll with you, Dave?
Yeah, I think that's tremendous, and it's really important to recognize that these assessment tools break those 21 core competencies down into these three categories. And then when we're looking at each, excuse me, as we look at each category, we're able to really get insight into what's going on in that sales team as a whole, or that individual that we want to coach up. In fact, I've had clients say to me, I remember one conversation specifically, after looking at the data from the assessment, he said, "It's like you have a camera around my building, like you're peeking in on our sales meetings and what my guys are doing." It really gives such incredible insight into the organization. Like he wondered if I have just been eavesdropping on them to be able to learn all of this. But the results are wonderful and very, very immediately useful.
Absolutely. Um, uh, every day we have conversations like this, and just this morning I was talking to someone who has two candidates, because we can use objective management group in two contexts. We can take a really deep dive x-ray into a existing sales team, but equally we can use it to help to top grade candidates that we're considering for sales roles. And in this instance, we were talking about two candidates that have completed the assessment. One has a pedigree of experience in that industry, and the other was new to the industry, but they really liked something about this individual. Couldn't articulate it until they had done the objective management group assessment. And what they found was the person who had all of the experience in the industry had pretty good tactical competencies. They measured quite high, but no will to sell, no fire in the belly. Complete opposite way round for the other individual that they're considering. So who would you hire? The one that you can teach skills to but has the grit, or the one that's kind of tired and I don't want to do this anymore. It's not for me. Any day, the first one. So
Oh, absolutely.
it really can enable you to top grade. And do you remember when we were at the Objective Management Group conference, we were talking about hiring bias and that it is a reality in the world? But Objective Management Group actually enables us to look beyond our own bias. Often a hiring manager goes, oh, they have to have industry experience. But really, I can give you 100 examples of you introduce someone with all of these attributes and at his strength, and they will outperform industry experience every day. Has that been your experience too, Dave?
Just this morning, I was on a phone call. In fact, it was only 2 hours ago. I was on a call with the president and CEO of a company, thinking about hiring a new sales manager and digging into the management assessments, and looking at that data. He felt so important that this person have industry experience. But he's been using these assessment tools for his salespeople for a year and a half now. And so I just began asking him some questions about the accuracy of the data and how we've used that data to build individual coaching plans for the salespeople. And he was reminded of the importance and the accuracy of the data to build individualized coaching programs. And so he committed to his belief in the results, even in the management campaign. So yeah, absolutely. It's been really a powerful tool to help our teams, our clients really be successful, both with hiring as well as developing their existing team.
Mm. And I've had the luxury, because I have been using it for 11 years, to have some clients that have, you know, utilized the Objective Management Group tool within their organization for 4 or 5 years. And we continue to measure again every year. We do a checkpoint. So we can see, as we are introducing new people into the team, as we develop and coach and grow, use
Mm.
those coaching plans, how the dials change, both on an individual basis and also the whole company, how the whole company has changed incredibly. And this is science that they can take to their board to support the continued investment of development into their team.
One of the key things that I think that comes the data that comes out of this is they use a very structured scientific formula to calculate what we believe the opportunity for growth is with their current team. And that has been such a powerful resource, knowing this is where we are, this is where we could be if we focus on these particular dials. And it gives and I found that number to be so powerfully accurate and paints such a great picture. Well, just the power of having that data. It's really great knowing where we could be with the team that we currently have. And if that number's not high enough, then now we know we're going back to the recruiting board as well, right?
Yes, yes, yes. And one of my clients talking about when the number wasn't high enough, we looked at the spread of the team against the what's best in the world from Objective Management Group. So looking at their percentile, are they elite or are they poor? And what they found was the 16 people out of their 70 strong team who were in the red, so poor, were new hires.
Mm.
They were gobsmacked how badly their recruitment process was actually hiring people that they were being set up to fail. And there's a direct correlation between retention as well. So those 16 people in a year, they were no longer with the business because they weren't a good fit for what they needed. And in today's world, they needed their people to be not transactional sales, but to be able to lean into consultative selling. So not everyone has that ability or the willingness to learn that. And that's what Objective Management Group could show them black and white. They introduced the recruitment license and the screening of candidates, and now this picture looks completely different.
Yeah, and what a resource to our clients when we can do that, because we all know that the cost
Mm.
involved in recruiting and training up people, and then to have them not perform or to disappear 4, 5, 6 months into the experience, and we're right back to the beginning, and just the significant cost, both in dollars and perhaps even more so, the cost in time, both lost production and other people's training time. And if we could dial in that recruiting for them and really help them find really top graded people, just A players from the beginning, what a resource we can be for our clients in that way. Another great benefit of the objective management tools.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the same way that it's, um, I think it's essential when you're recruiting salespeople, it's essential to really understand your existing team and the leadership of that team.
Mm,
Because I'll argue every day that the leadership has an incredible influence on whether a team performs or not. And if the leadership doesn't understand where their strengths lie in coaching, motivating, pipeline management, accountability, their own ability to recruit into their team, those leadership skills can either make or break the results of hardworking salespeople.
yeah.
And what have you found, Dave?
Yeah, that's so true. One of the things we have found is, and I try to encourage all of our clients, if you try to hire a top graded salesperson, you hire an A player into an organization that's not an A organization, that person's just not going to last. They're going to get frustrated with the lack of structure and process and coaching and development, and they're just going to be gone. Now you can attract mediocre to a mediocre organization, and they'll all hang around for a long time, and you'll continue to be mediocre. But if you want to grab really A players, you got to have A leadership. You've got to have really strong leadership, really strong culture. Then you can recruit the really strong salespeople to your team. Yeah.
Yep.
That's why our coaching and our transformation and the development of a structured process and a good sales enablement tool and all of those things come into play in conjunction with recruiting the right people.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think typically every time we do a organizational view using these tools, which is called an SEIA, it's a sales effectiveness and improvement analysis, a mouthful, so I'll call it an SEIA. There are certain things that always show up. I think the first time we do it, one of them is around sales process. If we define that as being a milestone centric process that moves the sales conversation from consideration, I'm thinking about it, to actually, yes, I have identified the compelling reasons why the customer needs to go ahead, and our role as salespeople is to facilitate that uncovering using consultative selling and questions. So what normally turns up is that salespeople are pretty good at finding an opportunity and then go straight to, I'll tell you all about our product. They present. And in doing so, they've lost the customer along the way because it's not about them, it's product centric selling, not value selling, and certainly not customer centric, because we don't understand what's important to the customer. So then closing ratios, what have you normally seen?
Between 20 and 30 is pretty normal. And of course, everyone that I'll do the individual debriefs with, they're all like, but I know how to understand that one. I know how to close business. You can see my track record. Why is my score so low? And again, we talk about benchmarking. We're not saying you've never closed business, but we're saying compared to where you could be, if we can focus on a couple of other, all the factors that go into determining that closing score, if we can adjust some of those milestone centric process, reaching decision makers,
Qualifying,
ability to handle rejection. What's that?
qualifying. Are we
Qualifying, yeah.
should we have let this go and move on to something where we know that we're going to win?
Yeah. And so how much better can you be? And that's really a challenge in these assessments, is getting folks to recognize, not this is not a negative on where you've been, but we're identifying opportunities for you to see where you can be with a little bit of tweaking, with some coaching. So
And for me, that's the power of the tool, is that both for us at SalesStar to be laser focused on our coaching, it enables our sales leaders to be equally laser focused on what coaching and support they give their team members, because they can see with certainty where they will get a return on their time in that coaching space.
with my long-term clients, that we've spent time working through developing a sales process, and all the steps and actions and the qualifying checklist for every milestone of we've done the work. We've got a great process and plan. Now they want to hire people into that. And so the key with the assessment is, do people comprehend? Are these folks, do they have the sales competency of understanding a milestone centric sales process, understanding the different components? And if there's a lot of other components that are strong and maybe that one's weak, the assessment tells us that, so they know immediately where to begin the individual coaching once they do bring them in.
All right, so Dave, one of the benefits that I see human resource teams and maybe learning and development resource teams, what they want to know is, what does good look like? And Objective Management Group does not only show us what your team looks like, but it also helps us to understand how you compare to similar organizations in your industry and all organizations that we have evaluated. So the blue line, if I could say, I'm just going to talk sales process here. This is a client that we've been working with for 4 years. I can tell you the sales process blue line did not look at 72% when we started. But what we can see is that they have been able to identify that was an attribute organizationally in their business that they needed to work on. Having it embedded into each individual so that they know how to execute on it is how this company has developed that 72% strength in sales process. And if we consider their now ability to differentiate against their peers in the industry, their competition, they are well ahead of where their competition might be in being able to execute on every step of the sales process, which earlier you said, closing goes up when we're better at executing all the way across that sales process. So here's just an example of how we can use benchmarking to actually give you a competitive edge and enable you to win your unfair share of the market.
From the screen you're showing here, the benchmarking of your organization compared to others, when you invest time in sales training, sales development, or with SalesStar, you invest time and financial resources of your company into sales coaching, business development coaching. You can come back. We do annually, we do these checkpoints, and you're able to confirm that your team is getting significantly better. You can compare this slide to the same time last year and look at the difference. And it confirms and affirms your decision as an organization to invest in the development of your team.
And numbers don't lie. And for some companies, if they have a long sales cycle, then the revenue results might take a while to come through, but at least we can see the behavioral results that are feeding into
Right.
the future revenue results.
Well, Kat, it's good to chat today, just thinking about the importance of having the science behind business development, right? We're not just throwing a dart at a wall, trying to decide where we want to focus our energy, but that the benefit of partnering with SalesStar and with Objective Management Group, you get real data to focus your resources on the right places for business development so we can deliver those transformational results.
What I do know hand on heart is that this is a tool that enables us to predict behavior and to unlock talent and to be able to grow people. And, we grow our clients by growing their people.